Hey guys, I'm Harrison, the English Confidence Coach. Have you ever wondered whether your foreign accent is holding you back in your career and stopping you from getting amazing opportunities in English speaking scenarios? That's a question that many non-native speakers struggle with as they pursue careers that require you to speak English. If English isn't your native language, chances are you speak with some sort of accent. No matter where you're from, India or Brazil, your English accent sticks out. And unfortunately, the way you speak can affect your career and stop you from taking opportunities in English speaking scenarios. Did you know that 8 out of 10 employers admit to discriminating decisions based on an applicant's accent? Or did you know that 1/3 of non-native speakers avoid going to international conferences and more than half avoid presenting due to their lack of confidence or heavy accents? So first I wanted to share with you some data and research I have about how your foreign accents can actually hurt your career. In 2010, there was a study done that asked a group of people with different accents to record a statement in English, and then they replayed these recordings to a different group of people. What the research showed is that the native speakers were rated as the most trustworthy, while those with the heaviest and strongest accents were thought of as the least truthful. A similar study found that if someone's accent is harder to understand, they'll be rated as less truthful. And more importantly for you, a study done showed that people with a non-native accent had a slightly lower chance of getting a job they applied to compared to a native speaker. These studies showed that if you have a native sounding like accent or a more understandable accent, it can greatly improve your chances of getting the job that you want, no matter whether you're a native speaker or not. And while all these studies show that there is a language bias and that very often a lot of employers don't even realize that they're doing it. The reality of language bias. The biggest reason why employers tend to favor those with an American accent or an accent that's very understandable or close to native-like over other accents, particularly non-native accents. And this is particularly true with employers who are hiring in a position related to customer service. I don't want to have the risk of hiring an employee that when they speak English is not understandable for their customers and will cause them lots of headaches in the future. When you're in a job interview, the employer will check if you are a confident, reliable, and dynamic person. So it's essential for them to trust you and, more importantly, clearly understand what you're trying to say and communicate in English. Otherwise, it's most likely you won't get the job. Another big problem that some non-native speakers have is that if their native language is one that's very fast, so for example, Japanese or Spanish, those are two of the most fastly spoken languages in the world, that often translates into English. And what happens is that your employer and yourself might be both speaking the same language, English, but your rate of speech will be dramatically different, and that can cause communication issues between the two of you. Speaking too fast or too slow will make the employer uncomfortable, as they might have to try too hard to follow what you're saying in English. And that will make them worried that potential customers will have the same issues as them. Another big issue is that you may not understand your potential employer's accent. Sometimes the roles might be reversed, and instead of the potential employer not understanding you, it could be you who's not understanding them. This is true for even native English speakers, as accents can vary differently depending on the location. So for example, native speakers with a British accent will seem more sophisticated to an American employer, while someone with an accent from New York will seem rude because of stereotypes. So it's really important to minimize your accent when seeking out a job and really improving your pronunciation. Now, if you're someone who wants to accelerate their results in English even more and wants my personalized help in achieving your goals in English, then consider applying for my advanced English coaching program and get my guidance for really improving your English faster and with less frustration than ever. The philosophy of the program is to basically give you the tools you need to learn the language in the most effective way possible and download everything I know about language learning into your head. So make sure you click the link in the description box or first pin comment to get a free consultation call to see how I can help you. Now let's get back to the video. Now you might be watching this video and be really discouraged and thinking that you never get those job positions and that they'll all be taken by native speakers. However, if you have a heavy accent or not entirely confident in speaking English, there are ways for you to overcome this language bias and take the opportunities that you deserve. Now, even as an English native speaker, I too have experienced the difficulties of misunderstanding, as even though I have a British accent, I live in the US, and there's a lot of miscommunication and difficulty with listening comprehension between certain dialects of American English and British English. And I experienced firsthand how frustrating it can be not to be understood. So what I did automatically is adjust my accent to pronounce things more like an American and speak English clearer and slower. So here's some things you can do to reduce your accent and be better understood. Watch videos and content often. A great way, and often not fully understood way, to really reduce your accent is to listen to English a lot. As you're listening, your brain will naturally start to understand how certain words are spoken, and that natural cadence and rhythm of how native speakers speak will slowly start to filter in to the way you speak. Though this is a very slow process, so don't get frustrated that even after 2, 3, 4 weeks of constant listening, your accent doesn't reduce. This is a great way to reduce your accent without doing much more than sitting back and watching something you enjoy. Another tip is to mimic native speakers you hear on television or you watch on, for example, YouTube. Try and really copy how they speak. Turn on the video and closely listen to how they talk. Then repeat what the native speaker said multiple times until you said it perfectly, and then move on to the next word. This will really help train your mouth on how to speak and pronounce things like a native speaker, not pronounce certain sounds that are similar to your native language, and will really help iron out any pronunciation mistakes you make in English. Another tip you can use for practicing improving your pronunciation and reducing your accent is talking out loud. You need to practice speaking English and really getting the muscles in your mouth used to saying things that aren't in your native language. Try recording yourself talking about something in English and then replay it over. If there's something that you couldn't understand, then try and repeat it over and over again until it sounds better, or you can put it into Google Translate and listen to it and try and repeat it. This will help you not only develop the muscles in your mouth for speaking English correctly, but also really identify any major mistakes that you're making in English. If certain words are harder for you to pronounce correctly in English, then try and find alternatives that you can say or are easier for you to pronounce correctly and clearly. Now, here are some effective tips you can use to significantly improve how your accent is perceived and help native speakers understand you clearly. Speak slowly and clearly. There's no need to speak as fast as possible. Sometimes speaking slower can really improve the comprehension and clarity of what you're saying for the listener. Next, pronounce every word you're saying as clearly as possible and make sure to pronounce each syllable in the word clearly. This will help the native speaker really understand every single word you're saying and reduce any misunderstandings that can cost you that job. Really try to practice your pronunciation beforehand. Really work on tricky sounds to improve the clarity of what you're saying. And next, use pauses. Give the listener time to process what you say, and if you made a mistake or haven't pronounced something clearly, oftentimes native speakers will automatically be able to understand what you said from the context. But they can only do this if they're given time. Tell me your thoughts. If you found this video insightful, or if any of the tips I gave you for reducing your accent or increasing the clarity in which you speak English helpful, make sure you smash that like button so I know whether to make more videos just like this. Please don't forget to get my free guide that will give you tips, tricks and advice for improving your English faster. Link in the description and first pinned comment. If you want to learn even more about how to improve your English and become fluent this year, make sure you watch this video here where I'll give you a guide for becoming fluent in English. If you've enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!